You know, we've all heard the stories, right? A president who seems to age a decade in just 4 years, or someone who goes through something really traumatic and suddenly finds strands of gray hair. The idea that stress can turn your hair gray, well, it's been around forever. But is it just one of those old wives' tales, or is there some real science behind it? Well, today, we're going to find out. So let's just get right to it. Can a single really, really bad week, I'm talking about a period of intense, acute stress, actually cause permanent gray hair? For the longest time, science kind of just shrugged at that question. But now, believe it or not, we have a definitive answer. And the answer is a resounding yes. It's true. What used to be just stories people told has now been confirmed with hard biological proof. Researchers working with mice were finally able to trace the exact pathway that connects severe stress directly to losing your hair color.
So, to figure out how this all works, scientists basically had to become detectives. They started their investigation by looking at the most likely culprits, the usual suspects when it comes to any kind of stress-related damage in the body. First up, suspect number one was the immune system. And the theory here was pretty logical. Maybe, just maybe, extreme stress causes our own immune system to get confused and, well, start attacking the very cells that produce pigment in our hair. An autoimmune response. Makes sense, right? Well, turns out it was wrong. When the researchers ran tests on mice that didn't even have these immune cells, their hair still turned gray under stress. So the immune system was officially cleared of all charges. The real culprit had to be something else. Okay, so if it's not the immune system, what about the most famous stress chemical of all, cortisol? That's the hormone our adrenal glands pump out that floods our body whenever we're under pressure. Surely, this had to be it. But nope, another dead end. In what was a pretty dramatic experiment, the scientists actually removed the adrenal glands from the mice, which meant they couldn't produce cortisol. And guess what? The stress-induced graying? It still happened. So it wasn't even the classic stress hormone doing the damage. The mystery was getting deeper. So with the two main suspects totally innocent, the investigation took a turn, leading scientists to a place they really didn't expect. See, the real culprit wasn't some chemical floating through the bloodstream. It was a direct, hardwired connection. And the perpetrator was the sympathetic nervous system. Now, if you're not familiar, this is the part of your nervous system that kicks everything into high gear when you're scared or stressed out. It's what makes your heart pound and your palms get sweaty, that classic fight or flight response that gets your body ready for action. And here is the absolute key to the whole thing. It turns out these fight or flight nerves don't just go to your heart. They actually snake their way through your entire body, and they wrap themselves around the base of every single hair follicle. It's like a direct alarm wire. The call was coming from inside the house, so to speak. Okay, so we've found our culprit, but how exactly does this internal alarm system pull off the crime of turning your hair gray? Well, to get that, we need to zoom way in, down to the microscopic level of the hair follicle itself. See, inside every single one of your hair follicles, there's this tiny, incredibly important reservoir, and it's filled with these special stem cells called melanocyte stem cells, or MeSCs for short. Their only job is to grow up and become the cells that produce pigment, the melanin, that gives your hair its color. As long as that little reservoir is stocked, you've got color. So here's the devastating chain reaction. First, that intense stress triggers those nerves. Second, those nerves release a massive burst of a chemical called noradrenaline right into that stem cell reservoir. Now here's the critical part. This chemical forces all of the stem cells to activate and turn into pigment cells, all at the same time. It's a mass exodus. The end result, the entire reservoir of stem cells is just gone, wiped out in a very short amount of time. And once they're gone, they are gone for good. So, the damage is done. That reservoir is now empty. And this discovery, it's not just about hair color. It has much, much bigger implications for how we understand the way stress really hits our bodies on a fundamental cellular level. This quote from the actual study published in the journal Nature, it says it all. This isn't temporary damage we're talking about. Acute stress causes non-reversible depletion, a permanent loss of these essential stem cells. This is the scientific proof. The damage is forever. You can't refill the reservoir. So not only is the damage irreversible, but this whole process suggests that intense stress could actually be mimicking a kind of accelerated aging at the cellular level. And what's really fascinating is that this nerve-to-pigment connection is ancient. We actually see a similar system in animals like octopuses, who use nerve signals to rapidly change their color for camouflage. It's an old survival mechanism that, in our modern world, has kind of backfired on us.
And that, of course, brings us to the final and maybe most unsettling question of all. Those same nerves that wrap around our hair follicles, they also connect to basically every organ in our bodies. So going gray is just the visible outward sign of this damage. It really forces you to wonder, if one bad week can permanently wipe out the stem cells for our hair, what is it doing to the parts of our body we can't see?